21 past the hour. Good morning. Our 5-day business planner is sponsored by Audi. For the name of your nearest Audi dealer, call 1-800-4Audi. All right, people, looking at the water vapor loop this morning, pointing out two features on the map. We have an area of low pressure and a funnel system that moved on through the Ohio River Valley yesterday, causing all kinds of large hail and wind, and that thing is cranking off to the east coast actually fairly quickly. We already have some pretty nice conditions shaping up across the Ohio Valley today. You can see the low itself kind of sitting and swirling right here to the east of Lake Superior, and we are getting some wraparound moisture. So with the colder air coming in, a little bit of light flurry activity around International Falls and Hibbing and on through Pellston and Traverse City. Meanwhile, in the west, we have this big swoop of energy coming in, and that will aid in bringing some showers into California. All right, one front moving on shore in the west yesterday with lots of wind. Today, most of the wind energy will be up in the northern coastline of Oregon. We're talking about still some high wind warnings up for the north coast today, through the morning hours anyway. Snow levels dropping like a rock through the Sierra. Heavy snow right now around Blue Canyon, and in the east, as this front clears the coastline, you're going to be stuck through the morning hours with showers around Boston and Portsmouth and on up through Caribou, actually through the afternoon and in through tomorrow morning, maybe a little bit of light wraparound snow around Syracuse and Erie. Meanwhile, another system will quickly come into the west coast. Again, we're talking about more rain in Seattle and down on through Sacramento. Highs will reflect the moisture and clouds in the east and the west. We're talking about cooler readings, but the south, very spring-like. On this first full day of spring, we're talking about warm readings right on through the week. So if you've got outdoor plans, if you're one of those kids that's on spring break in Florida, oh, I'll tell you what, 80s all the way through on, well, Thursday and Friday we may be warm into the 70s, but still very, very pleasant. All right, rain and snow linger in the northeast tomorrow as that low kind of sits up and spins here. Big chunks of energy coming out. Actually, you're going to have to wait until Friday to get a break with the rain in the northwest, but we're a little concerned as we head through Friday and Saturday as we get some of the cold air punching into the warm air in place across the nation's heartland. We could see possibly severe storms, so you're going to want to check back with us for sure.
It's out. Just 5 minutes.
24 past the hour. It's Tuesday, but for some it doesn't matter if it's the middle of the week. Now, when I show you this video, it's going to make you feel old, kind of like I feel old. You remember the days of spring break. Panama City Beach has become a very popular area for the spring breakers, and you see these young folks out there just having a great time in the water. They don't even care that the water temperature is in the 60s. They don't care. Volleyball, water, those little shooting things. You have to be careful sometimes with those guns. Sunbathers. I'm sure the guys are liking this scene quite a bit. Yeah, okay. It was warm yesterday. Temperatures were in the low 70s around Panama City, and that was just a little bit above normal. But we're going to see even warmer readings today for you spring breakers, not only in Panama City, but Daytona Beach. A lot of folks head there, and a lot of folks head down around Padre Island as well. So we are actually talking about pretty pleasant conditions right along the Gulf Coast states. Even on up around Atlanta yesterday with 79 degrees. Oh, it was so nice outside. I hope you got a chance to get out. I know I was kind of running errands and didn't get a chance to really enjoy the day, but it certainly was nice just to see the sunshine. All the flowering trees are really in full swing right now. 75 was our high yesterday in Pittsburgh. It was 53 in Boston, though. You got some showers in your picture today for Boston. Highs, well, record highs around Huntsville, 80 degrees, Jackson, Kentucky at 77, and Mansfield, 72. Current conditions show us some cool stuff up around International Falls this morning. We've got some snow coming down across northern Minnesota and on through the UP around Marquette, in through Pellston. A little bit of light snow coming in. We have rain showers up and down the east, especially the northeast, and of course wind and rain in the west. As one storm system yesterday, we had a lot of wind energy coming into the west. Still some high wind warnings out for the north coast of Washington today, so around the Puget Sound and down on through the central coastline of Washington. Look for gusty winds today, but it looks like the frontal system will continue to swing on through California with rains from Redding on down through San Francisco and Sacramento, and we're even expecting snow as far south as the San Bernardino Mountains. Fog this morning is quite dense around Alexandria and on through Lufkin and down through San Antonio. Be careful, because coming up in a few minutes we're going to show you some video out of Mobile for what that fog can do sometimes when you have very dense fog, and it is a serious situation, so you want to tune in for that. Thunderstorms this morning on the Outer Banks, and also as cold air moves in here across the west, we're talking about isolated storms. You can see the rain is basically right along the west. We've got rain showers around Mullen, Idaho, Pocatello now mixing in with a little bit of rain and snow. Snow levels are coming down across the west, and the rain showers continue to funnel on northward. So you're seeing your shot of rain around D.C. and Baltimore, but that will quickly come to an end as the frontal system continues to press off toward the east, raining from Watertown on down through Elmira and Albany in New York. All of this is rain. None of it is snow at all. The air is fairly mild. Heavier rain showers now right around Philly and Baltimore, though you can see D.C. you are already starting to clear out as this batch of moisture works its way on toward the east. And the line of storms that rolled on through eastern parts of North Carolina, prompting some severe thunderstorm warnings, that is now off the coast, and we're just talking about the extreme coastline getting any sort of rain. We're shaping up to see a nice afternoon again from Atlanta down through Mobile. We'll take you to Mobile, though. Yesterday morning, not so nice.
Now, your local forecast, accurate. You're watching today.
Well, for those of you that are just waking up this morning, and in San Antonio, we do have some fog out there. The same story in Lufkin. And I want to show you some video of what very dense fog can cause. In Mobile Bay yesterday, around the Mobile Bay Bridge, this happened 6:45 Monday morning. Visibility dropped to an eighth of a mile when more than 100 cars and trucks twisted and smashed into each other. One person was killed and at least 74 others were injured. Now, the wreckage stretched for more than a mile in both directions, and witnesses say as many as 2 vehicles burst into flames. I'm going to tell you, I've been on this Mobile Bay Bridge, and one of the problems is, this is Interstate 10, and one of the problems is a lot of folks are traveling very quickly. That bridge is really long. It goes right across Mobile Bay, and everybody just kind of steps on the gas and really just flies across the bridge. So if you encounter all of a sudden a big patch of fog, let's say midway through the bridge, you can really cause a big pileup like we saw yesterday. Now, the fog actually started in the evening hours on Sunday, and then the fog became a little more dense as we went through time and dropped to about an eighth of a mile by 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and it was still rather dense even on into the morning hours, and that's where we saw the big pileup. Now, we do have some fog still in Mobile, not nearly as dense as it was yesterday morning, but still it is dense. We know what it can do. You want to slow down out there, people, because it is a very dangerous situation when you're driving very quickly and encounter a big patch of fog. We have a high pressure overhead, very, very light winds, and we're seeing the temperatures drop down to the dew point. We're seeing actual fog forming. So we're going to have to be careful this morning. All right, one low in the east. Another low, the trough, the bottom of the trough is coming inland, and we're seeing all the cold air come in, and we're expecting snow, some of it heavy throughout the Sierra Range, snowing very heavily right now around Blue Canyon. Still windy up around Seattle as south winds right now at about 15 to 25 miles an hour. Snows will file in through portions of the Wasatch and the Rockies today, and for the upper Midwest, blustery conditions with a little bit of maybe 1 to 3 inch accumulations around Sault Ste. Marie, just flurries around International Falls. Highs will only be in the 40s. For those of you in New York and Boston and Portland, well, it's going to be a rainy day today. Not a lot of accumulations, but it is going to be a little on the rainy side. Temperatures will be in the 50s. Lots of sunshine today, again, for Atlanta, across portions of the Northwest. There we go. We were talking about Ocean Park, Washington, and not a lot of people were out. Look at that wind. That is unbelievable. A lot of folks came out to view this beached whale at Ocean Park, Washington. Ocean storm was centered just west of Vancouver Island yesterday, and you can see the tremendous amounts of wind energy. High wind warnings are still out for the north coast of Washington, although they have been dropped from Oregon on southward. Peak wind gusts, let's look. It was pretty intense over Cape Blanco. That was on the extreme eastern point of Oregon. We had a wind gust yesterday morning to 97 miles an hour, and even in places, some of the higher mountaintops had winds that were gusting to over 120 miles an hour. So it was a pretty tremendous storm, and we are still seeing the winds hanging on here for the west coast of Washington. That's where still the high wind warnings are up for this morning anyways. We're seeing still some pretty strong south winds staying with us because the low is sitting over Vancouver Island, but it has loosened its grip a little on Oregon, so your winds have died down. They've died down in Northern California too. But not after, well, we had the wind, but not after also dropping in some rains yesterday. Around Blue Canyon, we saw nearly 3 inches of rain. Now, Blue Canyon, you've got a quarter-mile visibility with heavy snow. So the snow levels have dropped off dramatically across portions of the west as well. We have had quite a march quite a march in the west. It is unbelievable, as we've had nearly 300% of normal precipitation around San Francisco with over 6 inches of rain. And you know, the rain or the month is not over yet. We're talking about yet another storm system that's going to crank on up tomorrow. Now, the area of low pressure right now in the upper atmosphere is over the Gulf of Alaska, but that is forecasted to drop down again off the west coast of Washington. So tomorrow, more rain. Today, more rain. We even have a chance of thunderstorms, too, today, as there is colder air building in. A little bit of light snow right now mixing in around Pocatello. So it's cold. Idaho Falls, you're snowing, too. All right, that's the story in the west. What about the east? Well, there's an area of low pressure. It is basically moving on over Lake Superior, wrapping around in a counterclockwise direction. We're seeing some snow flurries coming in International Falls and Hibbing, Marquette, and Hancock, with west winds actually that have been gusting to 40 miles an hour. So blowing snow, not a lot of accumulation, but it is quite windy. Now, as this frontal system is charging off toward the east, it did interact with some Gulf moisture yesterday, and we saw hail reports from portions of Kentucky all the way down through Tennessee. Today, what we're facing basically is our thunderstorms that will be here across the west. Now, we don't have any thunderstorms right now, but we do have rain showers from L.A. Now you're getting rain up through Sacramento, San Francisco, Redding, and up through Seattle and Hillsboro in Oregon. In the northeast, we have this batch of rain moving very quickly off the coastline, actually. The rains persist from Watertown down through New York City and Philly. Boston, you'll get rain this afternoon. New York this afternoon, you should already start to clear out. Here we go on our first day, full day anyway, of spring, and we're dealing with a spring-like storm. Actually, it's kind of a late winter, early spring storm, we could call it, with this area of low pressure here. It is sitting and spinning right now over Vancouver Island. It's kind of moving off almost in a northwesterly direction. Still very windy along the Oregon coast. Meanwhile, we see this guy right here. That's the next storm system that's coming down the pike here, and we're expecting by tomorrow another area of low pressure to develop off the Oregon and Washington coastline, and that thing will come charging in as well. So it's kind of a 1-2 punch here, but things will improve, but probably not until Friday. In the east, we're dealing with rain showers right up and down the eastern seaboard from around New York City down through Philly and Baltimore. D.C., it's just about out of your area now, and you can see the showers right along the outer banks, but they're moving off very quickly. A little piece in the jet stream, it looks like sliding on across Georgia, but we're not going to see any precipitation on that thing. It's just kind of flying on through. Temperatures, well, we've got a frontal system that's pushing on through. This one here will really not much of an impact on the temperatures overall. We're going to see the same sort of temperatures from one side of the front to the other, so it's not a real big impact on this front. We will see winds, though, around this area of low pressure. It's going to be kind of windy today from International Falls all the way down through Detroit. So here we go. Low pressure will bring actually some snow. Sault Ste. Marie, Hancock, maybe on over toward Muskegon. Could see a little bit of light snow there. Rain showers will linger on into Boston, Caribou, and Portsmouth through the afternoon. And in the west, we're talking about snow from the Sierra, even down on through the San Bernardino Mountains. We could see several inches of snow being picked up. Heavy snow right now in Blue Canyon. Rain showers from Portland to San Francisco, and lots of wind energy. The snows will pick up through portions of Utah with some thunderstorms expected around Salt Lake City by the afternoon. Highs today around Salt Lake will be in the 60s, but some of the higher elevations will be in the 50s. In the upper Midwest, as that low sits and swirls here, pulling in some colder air, so it's going to be a little blustery around Duluth and in through the Windy City today. Maybe 1 to 3 inches of snow accumulating around Marquette and Sault Ste. Marie. Highs will only be in the 30s here, so it's going to be kind of chilly, but boy, the plains looking good. Highs in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Rain showers from Portland and New York. We're going to have to slice this away as the rains basically inch their way to the east as the front pushes toward the east. Highs 50s, 60s, not too bad overall. Not bad here either. We're going to have a beautiful day for the spring breakers. We've been showing you a video out at Penn City. We're not going to see any rain here in the Southland, and temperatures are going to surge into the 80s all the way up on toward northern Mississippi. Our spring weather update, as we have our first day of spring today. It's about 7 degrees yesterday. You had a frontal passage, though, through Kentucky, and actually it was packing kind of a punch. We had a lot of Gulf moisture that was working its way out and up throughout the front. So as it continued to march on toward the east, combined with some pretty good jet stream energy, we actually saw some showers and thunderstorms that were the case yesterday. Now today, those showers have shifted off toward the east and are just about off the east coast already. The front is moving very, very quickly. Severe reports show us that where we have the blue dots, that indicates where we had either wind or hail reported. In some of the areas across portions of Kentucky reporting in with 3/4-inch size hail actually accumulating on the ground. So kind of a rough go around there. None today, though. We'll have to turn to west around to Ogden and Salt Lake City, Sacramento and Stockton as cold air comes on in